In this week's episode of Working with Todoist, it's all about writing tasks so you don't procrastinate. Hello and welcome to another episode of Working with Todoist. My name is Carl Pauline, and in this week's episode it's all about avoiding procrastination. Now, one of the main reasons why we procrastinate when we look at our to-do list is because our to-do lists are way too long. And another reason why we end up procrastinating is because the way we write our tasks when we put them onto our to-do list, so that a few days later or a few weeks later when we come back and that task comes up on our to-do list, we have absolutely no idea what it actually means, and so we're thinking, what do I do now? So in this week's episode I thought I would just go through a number of ways that you can actually write your tasks better so that it is immediately clear what you want to do. Plus, I want to show you how to get the most out of your labels, which again will also help you to avoid procrastination. So, before we go into Todoist though, I would just like to say, if you like this episode, please click on that like button below, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. Okay, let's go into Todoist and I'll show you how to write your tasks so that you can avoid procrastination. Okay, so here I have 5 regular type of tasks that I've seen on many people's to-do list. Now, the first thing I should point out is these 2 up here. Let's look at these 2 first. Now, the problem here is that they're not very clear. Now, let's say for example that you wrote car service on Friday afternoon, and then you've had a heavy weekend of partying or family events, or you may have even gone on a trip. And when you get back and on Monday morning you see car service. Now, maybe that's quite obvious, and maybe when you wrote the task what you really meant was organize cars annual service or make appointment to have car serviced. And that's really the way you need to be writing it, because you need to be writing in your present intelligent self for your rather less intelligent future. So a task like this. Now, one of the things I should point out is when you're actually grabbing tasks, when you're collecting tasks on a daily basis, maybe, yes, this is the way you're going to write it because you really are short of time, and to write car service doesn't actually take very long. Now, the point when you do that, and there's no problem with that, but when you do that, what you do need to do is when you do your daily review at the end of the day, you need to make this clear. So I would say make appointment, because I would have to make an appointment to take my car in for a service, to take car in for service. And what I also would do is, if I was, because again you look your intelligent self right now, I would actually type in ABC service center, and I would put the number in here, or something like that. I think it was maybe a telephone number should be 84, something like that. Anyway, what I would do is I would do that. Now, the thing is, on my computer as I'm recording this, this doesn't actually make much sense to my computer because my computer's not a phone. But when I come to, if I look at this task on my phone, that's going to become a clickable link. I click it and it will take me straight to the center. Again, it's my intelligent self thinking about my dumb future. Now, what I've done now essentially is I've made that just one click. Well, more than one click because I have to go into the notes. But once I go into the notes, I'm essentially there. Another way you can do it, if you don't necessarily mind having your task list looking a bit untidy, you could actually just put that into the actual task itself. So you could actually do this, and when you do that, again, that number is now clickable from the task itself. So let's say I want to do this for Monday, so I'm going to put Monday, and essentially I'm going to flag that as a 2, and bang, now that's going to come up on Monday. Now the second one we've got down here is suit for next week's wedding. Again, that's not going to tell me very much. I mean, does it mean decide which suit I'm going to wear? Does it mean I need to get the suit cleaned? What does it actually mean? Now in my intelligent self, when I wrote that task, I knew what I meant. But let's say that this is a task that I've postponed until next month, because the wedding isn't until the end of, say, February. Then when I come to this in, say, 4 weeks' time, and I see this on my to-do list, suit for next week's wedding, I think, whoa, what does that mean? So you need to be very, very clear. So I would say, get suit for next week's wedding cleaned. Now, that makes perfect sense to me. When I see that, and all I've done is added 2 words, get suit for next week's wedding clean. Now I know what that actually means. Now those are the common mistakes that I see people make. Be very, very clear about the task, the way that you're writing the task. You've got to be thinking about how your dumb self is going to understand the task. Now the next ones are more common, and this is kind of the next step. Is okay, so with this one here, write end of year sales report. Now this is clear. I have to write something, and I have to write the end of year sales report. Now the problem, let's just imagine that the problem here is the end of year sales report is a 10,000 word report. Now it's very unlikely that you are going to be able to write a 10,000 word report even in just one day. This is going to have to be broken down. Now normally with writing tasks such as this, I actually start off with, now if this was a recurring task, I would continue writing end of year sales report. Now that's better simply because I'm not actually restricting. So if I have 30 minutes, I can carry on writing. If I have 15 minutes, I can write. If I've got 2 hours, I can write. So that's a much better way of actually arranging or writing that task. Now the problem with this specific task, write end of year sales report, if it is a 10,000 word report, that's actually a project. That's going to take you more than 1 day to do, and it's actually going to involve more than 1 or 2 sessions of writing and creating. So I would actually write end of year sales report. That would become a project to me. But for the purposes of this example, let's say this was a 5,000 word report, you need 2 sessions of work, then I would actually continue writing end of year sales report. Or even maybe I'd break it down a bit further, and I would add a task called start writing end of year sales report. Again, I'm writing the full task. You might think, well, that's just a waste of time, you know, start writing sales report. But I want to be absolutely clear about this. So what I might do, put that there, so when that's done, but the thing is, when I click this, what's going to happen is the whole thing is going to go. So before you click that off, you need to actually bring that back out and make that an independent task. But that's another way you can do it if you're thinking ahead. But perfectly honest, this is a project, and so I would actually have the 2 tasks put into the project. Next one then on this list is another common one that I see, arrange project X meeting. Now the problem with this one is again, it's very, very clear, arrange project X meeting, and you know pretty much what you want to do. You may need to send out a few emails, you may need to make a few telephone calls, whatever you need to do. Now the problem again with this one is that it's multiple tasks. It isn't a simple one task. If you're arranging a project X meeting, the chances are it's going to be with a number of people. So actually this task is, although it looks well written, actually isn't. So again, you just need to change it, is send out email to arrange project X meeting. Again, that one's a much better one because again, it's very, very clear what action you need to do. And the final one that I have on this list is get car insured. Now again, that looks very clear, but it's more than one step. You'd need to find your old insurance documents. If you've not had insurance before, you need to get some quotes. There's a lot of tasks involved in there. So get car insured, again, is actually a project. And with something like that, I would create a project for that particular task. It's not very well written. So again, what you would be doing is get 3 car insurance quotes, and again you're writing this in a very clear way. Remember, it's your intelligent self writing for your dumb self. So get 3 car insurance quotes and call insurance company for documentation. And again, you'd put the number in so that you can click on that, and that would become a project in itself. So essentially that's what it's going to look like, but obviously you wouldn't necessarily do it like that. You'd create it in the projects field over here. Now, one more thing before we move into before I finish this video is I just want to talk a little bit about the labels and how they can help you to avoid procrastinating when you're creating tasks. So here are the standard recommended beginner labels. If you've read Getting Things Done, the book by David Allen, then you will know that these are the standard 10 labels that David Allen recommends. Agendas, which basically means people, the people that you come into contact with, anywhere, calls, computer, errands, home, office, waiting for, someday maybe, and projects. Now, if you're following a strictly GTD system, this is the beginner's labels that you are recommended. Now, the thing is, these are just beginner labels. What you need to be doing is creating labels for yourself, labels that will work for you. So I just want to give you my labels as they stand at the moment. It's a little bit longer than that because I have a few more people in my agendas. But for purposes, I have communications because I can pretty much write email from my laptop, iPad, iPhone. You know, I can write text messages from all those 3 devices. So communications for me essentially now encompasses email writing, text messaging, Skype calls, FaceTime calls, pretty much everything. Now, I do a lot of writing, so therefore I have a label called writing, and in that label I have a lot of big writing projects and little writing projects. So for me, it just makes sense to have a writing label. Creative label for me is for designing, anything that I might be designing a poster, I might be doing some like little animations for my videos, anything like that. Audio visual is for when I'm recording the podcast or doing these videos. Rangyong is the name of my wife, so obviously that's one of the most important labels for me. Routines, because I separate out my routines from my regular normal project tasks. Errands, of course, makes perfect sense because I might need to buy some tape, or I might need to buy a new tripod, little things like that. I also have an admin one because I have a lot of admin tasks, and sometimes I'm just not in the mood to do anything creative or writing or anything audio visual, but I know I have to do some work. Then I can just click on the admin label and just start hitting off some admin tasks. Read review, because I often get asked to review applications, and I also get asked to read blog posts, and also research. If I'm researching for a course, a book, or anything like that, then I have a label for research, again, just in case I'm just not in the mood. Now, my labels are mostly based around my mood. Am I in the mood for writing? Am I in the mood for creating something? Am I in the mood for audio or visual work? Am I in the mood to do admin? Am I in the mood? So pretty much most of my labels are based around my mood. But your labels need to be based around what works for you. Now, some people like timing labels, so tasks that might take an hour, tasks that might take 15 minutes, whichever works for you. But the important thing is it has to work for you. So those are some of the ways that you can those are some of the things you can do that will help you to overcome procrastination. Most of the procrastination comes because you're actually writing tasks that are too big in one session of work. So think about maybe 1 or 2 hours. A task should not really last any longer than that. And make sure that in your daily list you've got a few short tasks as well, because once you get the momentum going, you're not likely to start procrastinating. But if you open up your today view and you end up and you see a task like write report, then there's a good chance you're going to go, ugh, I don't want to do that. But if you have something like begin report, you're much more likely to get started. And that's really what you need to be doing, is breaking down those tasks into sessions of work, or less if you can. That way you'll find yourself in a much better position when it comes to avoiding procrastination. Okay, well, I hope this episode has been useful for you. If you have any questions at all or have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to respond to you. And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. And if you did like this video, don't forget, please like the video. I would really appreciate it. Well, thanks again. And it just remains for me now to wish you all a very productive week. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw and you would like to learn more about becoming better organized and more productive, then get yourself enrolled in my free beginner's guide to creating your own COD system. And if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you, then visit my website at carlpauline.com. All the details are in the show notes below.